Hello everybody, my name is Average Election Enjoyer here on September 7th of 2025. And just a couple days ago, really big news coming out of the Texas Senate race, with it likely being reported by Politico and other such very reputable news sources that State Representative James Talarico has made the decision to jump into the Texas Senate race. We all know this is gonna. Well, if you don't know who James Talarico is, he first got a little bit of notoriety last year. Or he had a one of his sermons, as he is also a pastor, go viral on his YouTube channel. Is now at 1.2 million views. So a year ago, he sort of he sort of gathered some level of virality and fame. He's been known as sort of a rising star in the Texas Democratic Party and the Democratic Party as a whole for the last several months now. Capping it off with, if you guys have seen, he went on Joe Rogan. Had a interview with Joe Rogan where, or podcast I should say, where Joe Rogan actually showed a lot of support for Talarico's campaigns. So that was an interesting thing to see. If you remember, or sorry, not if you remember, if you watched the podcast, you'll know that James Talarico said that he didn't want to run for any of these offices. So it looks like someone managed to do a good job at convincing him to sort of run for this Senate race. So, yeah. So if you are looking at any of these recent polls, you can see that there's going to be a somewhat competitive primary for the Democratic Party. Not somewhat, it's going to be competitive, just like Republicans have a competitive election between Ken Paxton and the incumbent Republican in that Senate office. So if you want, so looking at some of these polls, you can see that O'Rourke leads Colin Allred, who was challenger in 2024, outperformed by 5 or 6 points. He outperformed Trump. Trump won Texas by about 14 points. Allred lost the Senate race by 8. So as you can see, overperformance there in the Senate election. So it'll be Texas is sort of a state that a lot of people are talking about recently after that overperformance by Allred. Though people are wondering how the national environment sort of gonna shake up this race, especially since Beto O'Rourke, he is not confirmed into this race yet. But back in 2018, he only lost by about I think it's about 2.7 points to Ted Cruz, who may know is not nearly as popular as who these Democrats are going to be competing against in the in this most 2026 Senate election. So O'Rourke leading Allred by 20 points, 58-38, a substantial lead for Beto O'Rourke, even though he is not yet declared in this race. However, Allred does hold a 7-point lead over Talarico, 43%, and 11-point lead over Castro, 52-41%. It's just yet to be known. Talarico is, while he has gained some level of virality, he still doesn't quite have the voter ID that Colin Allred, or especially Beto O'Rourke, has in the state of Texas. So it'll be interesting to see who can come out on top in this competitive primary. O'Rourke, Allred, and Talarico all appear to be pretty good candidates. Beto O'Rourke, of course, only losing by less than 3 points in Texas. Colin Allred overperforming by 6 points in 2024. And Talarico, who many are saying is just he's well known for his very quality speeches. So if we go here to some of these most recent Texas polling, there's no polls out yet that go over James Talarico, as this is really breaking news here. But I guess we could sort of see how the environment is looking in Texas as of right now. I mean, some of these polls aren't exactly up to date. They are a little less than a month ago, but you can still glean some sort of information from this. As we can see, Ken Paxton and John Cornyn do have the lead in all of these polls, especially from Emerson College. That's a good poll. and some more local polls from Texas colleges. So those are usually pretty good to look at too. We can see there's anywhere from a 2 to like a 9 or 10 point difference between the Democrat of their choice and the Republican of choice. So you can see a lead here for the Republicans in this Senate election. Bad news for Democrats. Of course, 2026 is not a favorable year in the slightest for Democrats in terms of the Senate races. It's going to be a tall task for them to attempt to sort of take back the Senate. To end the video, I'll pull up the map here and show you guys sort of what we're looking at. So the Senate math is, as I was saying earlier, very rough for the Democrats. 3 main swing states. It's going to be Jon Ossoff here attempting to keep his seat in Georgia, Democrat Senator Jon Ossoff. It's going to be Roy Cooper here. Sorry, I forgot the name temporarily. Roy Cooper in North Carolina, very popular governor there. He's looking good in the polling so far. Him and Jon Ossoff are both looking good for the Democrats in the polling. So this would be a pickup for the Democrats. And in Michigan is sort of turning into a disaster for the Democrats there. Very competitive primary, not a lot of big name candidates there. It was going to be a question if there would be more notable candidates who would be running there in the Michigan Senate race, but nobody has sort of came out. So the Republican Rogers is looking like he's in a more favorable slot than in the other 2 swing states. So if Republicans are going to win any of these swing states, it would definitely be at least in Michigan right now. So, but I want to kind of show how Democrats would even have a chance to win the Senate in 2026. It's very unlikely, like less than 1% chance that Democrats could win the Senate. Michigan, I was thinking Buttigieg earlier, who was people were wondering if he was going to run there, but for good reason, as he's from Indiana, that and a lot of voters don't want to vote for someone who didn't even grow up in their own state. So for good reason, not running in Michigan. So lack of name ID is the common problem among the Democrats in Michigan. So I'll go into how the Democrats could even have a chance at winning the Senate in 2026. Obviously, to start, they got to win all 3 of these swing states. As I was saying earlier, Georgia is looking good for the Democrats at current moment. Jon Ossoff is getting a lot of money and a lot of support, and he's the incumbent, popular incumbent, relatively popular at that. So he has an advantage there. And in North Carolina, Roy Cooper, very popular governor, so he would have an advantage there. Michigan, as I was saying earlier, would be a state that Democrats are likely going to struggle in. It's going to be a very close race unless they can, the Michigan Democrats can get their act together. Republicans are looking likely to do really well in this seat, or at least overperform compared to the national environment. As you can see, even if Democrats win the 3 swing states, so the most likely states they could win, it would only put them at 48. The next likeliest seat that Democrats have a chance in would be Maine. Susan Collins, very unpopular senator there, and especially since it's a Democrat voting state. Kamala Harris won the state somewhere in 6 to 8 points. So Kamala Harris, winning the state, and especially right-wing environment, good environment for Maine. However, Susan Collins has survived in all sorts of environments from 2018. She's been senator there for 20 years. So it would be very, very difficult to unseat her, especially since Maine Democrats share a similar problem to the Michigan Democrats, in that they don't have everybody who has name ID there, all the Democrats who have name ID in Michigan, running for governor. So it'll be a very difficult sort of race to win So this would be one that Democrats would have to win in order to take the Senate in 2026. That would be a must-have. And now, there are a couple of states that could be that I'd like to shout out as being somewhat. They're not going to be close. Republicans have advantages on all these states. Don't get me wrong, but these are states that could be somewhat competitive if the environment keeps on shifting in the Democrats' favor. People keep on being unhappy with sort of the policies that we're seeing out of the Trump administration. So, Ohio. Um, Ohio could be an interesting race as the Democrat who lost there in 2024. He also overperformed Kamala Harris, so he will be coming back and trying to rerun in Ohio. So that could be an interesting race. At least it would be diverting money away from some of these other swing states, give Democrats more of a chance in these other states. But Ohio could be close. Right now, of course, it is Republican leaning. Not even Republican leaning. Republicans have a very good shot of winning in Ohio, but if the environment is right, it could morph into a very competitive race. Next one would be, in my opinion, Alaska. If Mary Peltola ends up running for Senate there, she won the at-large House of Representative election there back in 2022. Only lost by 2 points in a very Republican-leaning state in 2024. So a Senate election, if the environment is right, could be close in Alaska. The reason it's rated safe is Mary Peltola has not yet said that she's gonna be running in this state. So for now, I'll keep it a state as safe as it hasn't been. Nothing has been announced in this state, even though Chuck Schumer has been courting her to sort of run in for Senate. I would like to see her run as governor. I think she has a much better shot in that race. However, that's just me. She will be making whatever she feels would be the best decision for her politically at that moment. The another interesting race that could be competitive. I think Iowa is just a little bit out of question. It's too right leaning. The Democrats there aren't as compelling as in other states. However, Nebraska could surprisingly be a somewhat competitive race. Republicans still, of course, hold a advantage in this state, but with the independent Dan Osborne also overperforming significantly, his independent label helped him greatly in Nebraska. So that could be another interesting race to watch. As I said, Republicans very likely going to win this race. As it's a very Republican state as a whole, even though it does have an interesting House of Representatives race there is going to be a likely pickup for Democrats there. In Omaha, which has been known as the somewhat of a blue dot here. So that is just a little interesting piece of information there. Omaha, Nebraska. Little blue dot. They get to it's like Maine. Maine's first over here. Republicans win Maine first. Democrats win Nebraska's Omaha district. So it's sort of a trade-off with these two states. So as I was saying, Dan Osborne, independent, able to sort of shed that Democrat label, and so he was able to overperform Kamala Harris by a significant amount. Likely to caucus with Democrats, but it's not for sure known. And so the final state, depending on the environment, that I can talk about here is Texas. I don't think Democrats have really any chance in Texas here. Not very likely, at least right now. Ken Paxton, even though, however much of a dislike candidate he is, however unpopular, especially with his recent controversial divorce from his wife on biblical grounds, that could affect him heavily in this state. And he's looking likely to win the primary so far against John Cornyn. So it could be, in the perfect storm, Ken Paxton gets elected, maybe has another major scandal, and Democrats are able to run one of the three candidates, and they all throw support at each other. It could maybe be competitive. However, this is a state that Democrats haven't cracked in a very long time. Ohio is probably the most recent that they've sort of cracked. But again, very unlikely for the Republicans to win, or sorry, the Democrats to win back control of the Senate. This is what I would think is my most likely map, other than maybe if Mary Peltola ends up running for Senate. Alaska would be a fairly close election, probably within a couple points. So this would be probably best case scenario for Democrats. I mean, Nebraska might and Texas might be fairly narrow, but Democrats, I think, have hardly any chance of winning the Senate. Though, if James Talarico, as I was mentioning, does run, a lot of people thinking that he could be the candidate to sort of go out and take down Ken Paxton. He has a very good image, very good public speaker, would probably win in any sort of debate that they had. So if he ends up getting that name ID up, wins the primary, gets a lot of national support, could make this Texas Senate race fairly narrow. So this would be what a kind of map that I would say best case scenario for Democrats. James Talarico getting into the Senate race. Good news for Democrats, by and large. So I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your days.